Hey, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where in the world you're watching us from today. This is Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, and I'm bringing you back for another slice of social media pie. This is my live interview series where I bring on inspiring people to inform and educate you. And I have with me Niraj Kapur on with me today. Hey, Niraj, how are you doing today?
Brenda, greetings from Ireland. It's so lovely to see you.
Oh, good. Well, I'm delighted to have this conversation with you here today and really looking forward to jumping in. What time of day is it where you are?
It's lunchtime.
Lunchtime?
It is lunchtime.
Will lunch be after you're done, or did you already have lunch before joining?
Lunch has to be after, because if I think about lunch, I'll be thinking about lunch, not you. I'm giving value to your listeners. So I'm deliberately postponing it till after our talk.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll get you out there in a little bit. So we're going to have a great conversation here today. And guys, if you see the topic above us, we're going to be talking about the worst sales pitch and how to improve them. And I think we're all getting more and more of these lately on LinkedIn. Before we jump into that conversation, though, I want to do two things. One is I want to welcome anyone who is watching us live. If you guys could, please drop a comment below. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And you see, I have a little screen tip for you. If you've ever noticed sometimes when you're watching a live video on LinkedIn, you leave a comment and it kind of hiccups. Here's what I do is I watch the video on my laptop and then I pull out my phone, and that's where I do the commenting. So that way you don't have that weird screen freeze thing that will happen. And I do see a couple of folks are joining us on LinkedIn, and I'll start to pop your names up on screen as you're saying hello. So a little incentive for you guys to do that. And then Niraj, what I like to do is if you could take a few moments, tell people a little bit about who you are and what's your business all about.
Certainly. Hi, everybody. I'm Niraj Kapur. At the age of 19, wanted to be the first Indian Bon Jovi. This is back in the days, by the way, when I had hair and a six-pack. And I then went to London to find my fortune, and I failed horribly and spent the next almost 18 months of my life on welfare. It was pretty rough because my dreams had been crushed, and I thought, what do I do? And after 18 months of being broke, my father flew over, my father can be a scary guy. Not so much now, he's old and retired, but back then he really was. And he says, look, you've got to get a job here. And I would look through the newspapers, because that's what you did in those days. There was no online, no internet. And the only job I could get where I had zero qualifications for was sales. That was the only job. So I thought, okay, I'll do it. And I went for the interview, and they gave me the job within 20 minutes. I thought, yes, I'm a natural salesperson. This is my calling. And I got the job, and they literally gave me a script to learn. I thought, oh, God. I had 60 minutes to learn the script, and I was on the phone reading the script. I'm like, okay, this is not working. And luckily, at my next job, they trained me up for a week. And that's the first time I learned the power of training and the power of learning. And over the next 23 years working in sales and running sales teams, the last sort of 8 years especially, I was a coach and a trainer as well as a selling manager. And that was my sweet spot. And I realized this is what I want to do. I want to coach people so they get results. I want to coach people so they make progress. I want to coach people so they can achieve more. This is what I want to do. But I was too chicken because it's so difficult setting your own business up. And all my family are teachers and doctors, none of them run their own business. So it was kind of scary. But luckily, you do need a bit of luck sometimes. My first book, Everybody Works in Sales, came out, became a big hit. That gave me the confidence to kind of set up my own. And I've had my own business just going 3 years now, where I'm a trusted sales coach for business owners and a LinkedIn trainer. And I tell you, I couldn't be happier. It was very difficult at the beginning, but now it's the best choice I could possibly make, Brenda.
That's awesome. It's great to hear the background and kind of the story and how you got there. And it's just interesting. Some people were kind of forced into, that path on their own. Some people choose it on their own and then they really embrace it. But it's great to hear that you kind of figured out what that sweet spot was for you, training and helping others, and that passion for sales, which sounds really amazing.
It's so important. The only people I ever meet in sales who say, this is what I want to do. Nobody says, you know what, I've always wanted to work in sales. Nobody. But in the last 5 or 6 years, I met a lot of people who have. But that's because they watch The Wolf of Wall Street and they think it's real. and they immediately go, that's what I want. I'm going to get a yacht like that and a girlfriend like that. I'm like, no, God, you don't have a clue. Right. But yes, I think a lot of people go into sales are quite misguided into what sales really is. Mm-hmm. And they think it's a job where you can earn a lot of extra commission, which of course is true. But it's so much more than that. It's helping people get results. That's what great sales is. It's not you. It's about your customer.
That's awesome. And you're not training sales. You're not trying to get people into the sales industry. You're helping salespeople to do better, and probably marketers and other people to do better in their roles. And I would imagine this everybody works in sales is probably a common theme, right?
Exactly, because everybody does work in sales. And I think the problem I had at the beginning of my business was I wanted to help every single person, literally everybody. I would help salespeople, marketing people, HR people, business owners, large corporations, everybody. And that's why I got nowhere. Because if you try to help everybody, you help nobody.
Right.
And I think especially in the last year, my business has finally taken off. It's because I focus more on business owners. So by business owners, it tends to be people with 5 members of staff or less, and they tend to be coaches, marketeers, LinkedIn coaches, coaches themselves, but small business owners, let's say, or micro business owners, because they're the ones who invest in growth. Sadly, most salespeople don't invest in growth, which is a shame. But business owners do. So business owners are my clients because that's what I do as well. I invest in growth. I have a coach myself. I'm always trying to become better too.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I know, and I can see behind you, you have so many books. And I asked you before the show started, and we were kind of having this pre-conversation. And then I had that cut us off because I'm like, oh, we got to go live right now. But you have 2 books. 2 books, did you say, that you published so far?
Yeah, so Everybody Works in Sales is my life story.
You want to grab it and hold it up to the screen? Go ahead. I'm giving you permission to do so. And I want to see it because I'm assuming it's on Amazon or on your website, and I'll drop the link in comments for folks later, but I'm definitely going to pick that out myself. But that's awesome. So that was your first book, Everybody Works in Sales?
That was my first book, and that was my life story working in London, because I figured, how am I supposed to compete with Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and Stephen Covey and Jeffrey Gitomer and all these legends of sales? There's no way. There's nothing I can say that they haven't said much better than me. So how do I get people to listen to my voice? And in sales, one thing I always did, which helped me stand out, was rather than just giving facts and figures, which is kind of boring, and talking about my product, I also told stories. So this is a story of my life. It's how I struggled so much in life, incurred so much failure in life, got to middle management, lost my job in the recession, then rose to the top, and what that was like. And because it's a roller coaster journey, and because there's so much failure, people really connected with it. And after 3 years, it's still selling, which amazes me. I'm so grateful for that. And my second book, The Easy Guide to Sales for Business Owners, that came out in lockdown, because I lost most of my business in lockdown. And I'm like, what do I do? And this book was about 2/3 finished. So I finished it off, pre-sold it in bulk copies. I have the audience now, and that saved me. But as you can see, I am a massive reader.
You are a huge supporter. Thank you so much for showing that up on screen. And you are a huge supporter. I mean, not just me, but I've seen you and others as well. You share books frequently, and you're always looking for books to read. And I think that is the sign of a lifelong learner, the fact that you're always kind of reaching out. You know, you haven't learned everything yet, right? You're always kind of open to that new knowledge.
100%. If you think you know everything, you're in serious trouble. You really are. You have to keep learning every day. And you learn for two reasons. Well, actually, no, 3 reasons. One is to keep your skills sharp that you already have, because you forget so many things, especially as you get older. The second thing is to learn new things. Even if I find 2 or 3 new things I learned from a book, that's a big success. And I guess the third thing is just have great conversations with people sometimes. I have a network of friends who are massive book readers, and I can go to them and say, I'm looking for a good book on marketing. What would you recommend? I want a book on psychology. What would you suggest? And we just recommend each other books all the time. Oh, buy this book, buy this book. And we never give each other books unless they're for Christmas presents. We actually go out and buy the books. And that's really important. We don't download them, we buy them. And I think that shows a lot of respect to the authors as well, because I know how hard it is. And you know how much effort it takes writing a book. It's huge. And it's not just writing it, it's getting it published. And then it's selling it. It's like 3 processes involved. And it's such hard work. So I have tremendous respect for people who write books. I really do.
That's awesome. And I'm imagining, as a writer, I mean, you already got 2 done. Do you have other ideas for books in your head right now that are floating around right now for the next one?
I started writing my 3rd book.
Yeah.
The problem is, the more coaching and training I'm doing during the day, when I finish work after 10 or 11 hours, the last thing I want to do is write a book about training. I just like, so that's why I haven't done it yet. However, summer is coming up, and summer normally is much quieter time for me. And because I've been in lockdown for almost a year, in all fairness, I'm going to do a lot of traveling over the summer and a lot of writing. That is my plan, as long as we're out of lockdown. Because I just miss my friends. I haven't seen my daughter in 6 months. She's at university. I just want to get out there and see people.
Yeah, we're all getting kind of antsy with that. I hear you. And I just dropped a comment for those people that are readers watching the show today. If you want to drop in comments below your favorite business book that you've read lately, we can kind of share books with each other. What I want to do now, Niraj, is let's get into the conversation. So when I reached out to you, and I think it was, we were trying to talk about this in the pre-show. Did we connect on LinkedIn first, or was it Clubhouse? I kind of feel like we got to know each other on Clubhouse because I heard your voice.
So yeah.
But was it on LinkedIn that we connected first? Do you remember?
It was, I saw you on Clubhouse, and you can't really connect with people on Clubhouse in terms of messaging.
Right.
So I may have sent you a LinkedIn invite afterwards.
Yeah.
And of course, when I connect with people, the first thing I always say is look at someone's LinkedIn profile. Don't just send a generic connection. It means nothing. And again, you mentioned this in your book, which is why I loved your book. It's like, yep, agree.
Yeah, similar philosophies, right? You know, you connect with people on that.
Well, it's true. When people send me a generic invite, I often forget who they are. When they send me a personalized invite, I remember. Or if I accept their request and they send me a LinkedIn voice note or even a video as a follow-up, I know who almost every single one of those people are because it's memorable.
Yeah.
And on LinkedIn, you have to be memorable because it's so difficult standing out.
That's very true. And there's so many people that are using very common approaches, and we're going to jump into that conversation right now. And I think nowadays too, I don't know if it's just because of the pandemic, we can't do any networking in person. We're not able to do, you know, the in-person conferences and events anymore, but it's just the sales pitches are going crazy, Niraj. And when I reached out to you, I said, what do you want to talk about? And you gave me a couple topics, and I'm like, oh, we got to talk about this because I'm getting so many of these sales pitches that are coming in lately on LinkedIn, and you know, I have strong thoughts. So let's kick off this conversation, Niraj, and give us some, you know, tell us about some of the sales pitches that you've seen and why they're so bad. And then let's talk about how folks can improve them.
Certainly. What I've done is there's hundreds to choose from. It was actually difficult. What ones do I choose? Are all as bad as each other? So I just thought it'd be easier to choose a variety of ones so people can see what others are sending. But more importantly, it's not just why is this bad? It's like, how do we make sure we never do this?
Yeah.
And how do we write good LinkedIn messages? Because that's really important. So let's start off. Okay, number one. Dear Niraj, I heard you speaking on Clubhouse. Have you thought of using LinkedIn to generate leads? I have free software I'd like to send you. Now, the room I was speaking in was a LinkedIn room.
Oh.
And they're actually asking me, do I use LinkedIn to generate leads?
Was it a LinkedIn trainer, or was it one of the automated like services that was sending it out? Do you know?
It's hard to know whether it's an automated robot or a human being. When you get a lot of these messages, you think they are robots because they're so badly written.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to say something. This isn't me defending salespeople, but at the same time, I do have a bit of a soft spot for them because I spent my whole career there.
Yeah.
Salespeople aren't bad. They're just very badly trained. And that's often because they have a manager. It's true, because they often have a manager or a company that will not invest money in them.
Yeah.
Or the company has the attitude, I'm paying you a lot of money, therefore you should be trained already, which is a terrible attitude. And a lot of the time you have a sales manager who was a brilliant salesperson, wanted a massive pay rise, and the company said, make you a manager and give you a pay rise to shut you up and keep you in the company. Good salespeople do not make good sales managers. They just don't. You have to be trained. You have to have a certain skill set.
Yeah.
And I know this because I was a sales manager who was terrible, and I had to be trained in management and people. And I had to go on courses. I had to get a coach. That's how I became good. You don't do it by magic, you know. Yeah. So yes, this is a terrible sales pitch.
Oh, wow.
And the first thing I'm going to say is please look at people's LinkedIn profiles before you ever connect with them. And if your LinkedIn profile isn't very good, Google them and see what you can find. And if you can't find anything, at least look at the company website. Have a look at the news section, the blog section, the case studies, something where you can say, I saw this and I like this and I was interested in this, but don't just go straight into the sell. And for God's sake, please don't sell me sales coaching or LinkedIn training because I'm going to send you a really blunt response. And I did send a very blunt response.
What did you say to that one? I'm curious because I'm always like, I want to stay on brand with who I am. You know, I want to maintain my personality of being a positive person, but it really irks me sometimes. And I'm like, I want to go back with something, but I don't. What do you do with those?
What I normally do is I send a link. I wrote an article about 2 years ago, which is still relevant. I've got about 36 articles underneath my LinkedIn profile. Okay. And one of which is called How Not to Sell on LinkedIn.
Oh, very
and
good.
What I always do is I say, thanks for your message. Please read this article really carefully before you contact me or anybody else again. Kind regards, Niraj. And I probably do that maybe of the 50 terrible messages I get a day, maybe 10 people I'll do, because I can't do it with all 50, but 10 people a day I'll do this with. One
Okay.
person comes back saying thank you. The
Okay.
rest of them don't even bother, which really shocks me. It
Yeah.
just shows how arrogant so many people are when it comes to selling their product. And it just shows what a fixed mindset so many people have. Because if you want to grow, you have to learn. And if you're not going to learn and keep doing what you've always done, you're not going to get better results.
Let me ask you, is it this article right here? I'm gonna put the link in comments. Is that the one, How Not to Sell on LinkedIn? Is that
Yes,
the one that
that's
you're
the one.
sharing? All
That's
right,
exactly what I said.
I'm going to put that both in the comments, and then I'll drop it into the video description later so people can check that out. I love that. And it'd be great to just have one at the ready that you can sell to or you can offer to people as they reply back, and or as a response back to them, I should say. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you.
You brought up a really good point earlier, Brenda, about being positive in your response. Because every now and then I will get sharp with people, especially if I've had like maybe 10 in a row. And sometimes I do send an email saying, please don't ever contact me again until you've taken the sales course. And I don't mean to be blunt that way, but it becomes so bad that every now and again I do. But most of the times, I know how difficult it is. Most of the time I'll send an email saying, please read this article. It will really help you. Read it before you contact me or anybody else again. But I'm always surprised how few people say thank you. That does stun me. They just do the same thing to somebody else, because I know people I've sent this to, and then the next day they sent it to somebody else, and the other person said to me, oh my God, because you have to understand, when you send a terrible message, that person's going to tell 10 other people.
Right,
They're share.
We share notes like us, and we do some similar work with LinkedIn training and selling and coaching, and we share notes. I mean, we have groups, we have Clubhouse chats about these, and we'll even, I mean, I will never post and share the person's name because I'm not going to give them the benefit of the visibility, but we can tell. I mean, it's like the same text verbatim, and it's really poor form too, right? To use the same message over and over.
Well, completely. But at the same time, you're right. I never use the person's name. I always block out the name of their company as well, and their face as well. Because I'm not there to shame people ever. I'm just there to say, look, here's a really bad message. Let's see how we can improve this. And that's important. It's all about self-improvement and getting better. Other people don't make those mistakes. So that's one. The second one. Okay. Dear Niraj, I thought you gave amazing advice today on Clubhouse. As a thank you, here's my company brochure. Can you please go through this and let me know how I can improve the sales?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And just to be clear, that company brochure was over 30 pages. If you give me your company brochure, it's not a thank you. Don't say, here's my company brochure as a thank you. That's not a thank you. And if you want to thank somebody, don't say, here you go. Oh, by the way, can you do this for me? That's not thanking somebody, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. And that's just amazing how before you even get to know them, it's like they're throwing this in your lap, and like I didn't ask for this, first of all, and this is not a thank you. How is that a thank you?
Don't send attachments to people you don't know by email. Don't send attachments to people you don't know by. Just don't do it. Yeah. It's really bad. You know?
Rule of thumb I kind of follow is I don't send people something unless they say, can you send me more information on that? Or I don't send them my scheduling tool unless they've said, can we schedule a phone call? It's kind of like if you're at a restaurant, you're sitting down looking at the menu. If the waiter comes and puts something in front of you without telling you what it is and you didn't ask for it, you don't even touch it because you're like, did they drop it at the wrong table? Because I didn't ask for this. So why would we do that on LinkedIn? Why do we throw things in front of people that they didn't ask for, that they have no context against, right?
True, but again, it's just very bad training. A lot of people think LinkedIn's easy. They do. They think it's easy. A lot of people think social media, I use social media all the time, it's easy. But it's not. Anything you do in life, you have to learn. And the best way to learn is to read books, listen to podcasts, hire experts, pay them money. I mean, if someone doesn't give me advice for free, I'm like, okay, I really want to learn from you. It'll take 2 hours. How much do you have to invest in you? And then you'll find out people very quickly have time for you that way. But I do that a lot. I do, because I want to learn. And it's like what Tony Robbins says, you want to succeed at anything in life, find an expert that's done it. And just work with them any way you can, whether it's voluntarily or you pay them a lot of money and say, I want to learn from you. That's how you do it. And you go 10 times faster, not twice as fast. You go 10 times faster. And I just wish I had the knowledge today. I wish I had this knowledge 30 years ago. I would have gone so much further in my career.
Right. It's amazing when you think about that retrospective look on things and how you, and I love your point of view too on finding people who are doing a good job at it and learning from them. And there, I mean, we can easily do that by following them or connecting with them on LinkedIn. But I also love your point. Sometimes it is worth the investment. And there's a lot of people that kind of try to skimp and not pay, not make the investment. And to your point, year after year, you're doing this. And how much revenue are you losing by not investing in that training and that coaching, right?
Yeah, but people don't look at it. People look at it as a cost.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't look at something as an investment,
Mm-hmm.
which is a shame because I feel so many people lose out in life. And then what'll happen is things become really desperate and then they'll spend money on something they shouldn't.
Right.
It's like, look at the number of people who will waste money on how to make you a millionaire weekends. I've been in those, sadly. I have. And
Yeah.
I've spent so much money. And the whole weekend, two things happen. All they do is hard sell you the entire weekend. And
Yeah.
second of all, it's all in your mind. That's how you become rich, apparently. So, you
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be careful because it does become a point with everybody, Brenda, where when you make no decision, indecision starts to affect you. Then you
Yeah.
start making bad decisions. You start going for the adverts you see online where I can make you rich over a weekend, or I can scale your business to 7 figures within the next 6 weeks. And I know so many people who've invested in this.
Yeah.
None of them are millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
None of them earn 6 figures a year. So, you
Yeah.
know, I think that pretty much says it all, really. It's hard work, and people don't like to do hard work.
Yeah. But I like your point. It's a mindset. And once you understand that and you know that it's all in your head, you know, it's the knowledge that you learn and it's the focus, right? And I heard you say earlier when you chose to kind of focus more on certain parts of your business, that's when things really accelerated, right?
You have to focus. You can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
You also have to learn when to say no to people. I used to be terrible at that. I used to say yes to everybody who wanted a coffee meeting because it's nice to be wanted. So of course I'll meet you. And all that happened was I would waste my time driving to the coffee shop, quite often paying for the coffee, paying for parking, giving loads of free advice and leaving. And I'm like, why? But now I've got better at it. And quite often people take it very personally if you say no to them, especially if you meet at a networking event and they say, I'd love to have a 1 hour Zoom meeting. And I always say, look, I get so many meeting requests a day. Please send me an agenda and I'll happily review it. And again, less than 10% of people, less than 10% send an agenda, which means the rest of them are just trying to sell to me.
So these are people that are trying to pitch you to get you to agree to a meeting, not necessarily to pick your brain, right?
Exactly. And I know they just want free coaching off me. But I always say, please send me an agenda. I'm not asking for pages. Just give me an agenda so I know what to expect. And I'll happily review it and come back to you. And less than 10% do that, which is amazing, you know?
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Well, it's a good point and good, you know, technique for some of us to try. And I know you have a lot of other techniques that you wanted to share with us here today. Should we keep the conversation going there?
Yeah, of course. Absolute pleasure. Okay. Okay. Another LinkedIn message I got. Hi, Niraj. We have a webinar next week on sales. And I didn't hear back from the email I sent you. Do you want to attend? That was it.
Was this in a LinkedIn message or was this in an email? Because
this was a LinkedIn message. So they're following up from the email I sent, which is actually good because a lot of people just make contacting you one way. And that's a big mistake. So I love LinkedIn. I love it. But you don't just use LinkedIn message. You got the phone, you got email, you got LinkedIn voice notes, you have video. You have so many different ways you've got to communicate. Don't use one. So at least this person did one thing smart.
Okay.
Got no response.
And did they actually, oh, it looks like we may have frozen.
Tell me who was speaking. They didn't tell me when it was.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, how am I supposed to know this? Now, I Googled this company, and they're actually a very well-known company. And I'm like, why didn't you give me your URL? Why didn't you give me some details of your event or let me know who's speaking or who's attending? And again, it's just terrible.
Yeah. But at that point, were they relying on you to say, tell me more? And was that part of their hook, do you think? Or was it just
a lot of salespeople are taught by really bad sales trainers. Yeah. Just send an email that's 2 sentences long.
Right.
Just with nothing else. And I'll be your best. And trust me, it does not work. If you know somebody quite well, or if you've been chasing somebody for months, now and again it can. But that's just a second email or second message you've sent me. And I don't know you. I've never spoken to you. We're not even connected apart from very recently. And the first thing you do is send me that. I have no idea what that means.
Right.
So again, that's more bad advice people are getting. So if you're going to sell anything, give a reason why. Put some context behind it. Give me a reason why I got to attend your event or your masterclass. What will I learn? That's important.
That's a good point. Even if that person had included just a couple, like if you attend, you'll learn these 3 things or these 2 things or something, it might have piqued your curiosity enough to say, wow, that does sound interesting. And then to follow up and take that action to do that.
Oh, exactly. Because that's the kind of thing. It's like I see so many people, I'm sure you see this as well, Brenda, they'll promote something on LinkedIn, come to my Clubhouse event, and it gets maybe 3 or 4 likes. Nobody cares. But if you say, come to my Clubhouse event, here's what you're going to learn. Here's topics we're going to be discussing. Here's why it's important. All of a sudden, you get engagement in the post, which is very important on LinkedIn, and more people are going to attend.
Yeah. Yeah, very good point. And you are one of the people too who I think does a really good job of what you post on LinkedIn. I don't ever feel like it's sales messages. I mean, there's a lot of people, I think that's a common mistake. We're talking right now about the messages they send one-to-one, but then there's also the posting and the people that are just spam selling in their homepage feed, right? And what they do in posting. But I always feel like what you're posting is valuable content. You're talking about other people, you're tagging other people in your post, you're giving really relevant information. And I always believe that's what drives people to come back to your profile, where now they're more open and receptive to learning about you, right?
Oh, 100%. Once people have engaged with you and they trust you, because bear in mind, people buy people they like and trust. They don't have to love you. That's not important. If I look at my clients, 2/3 of my clients love me.
Yeah.
But only 1/3 of my clients like me. They never invite me to Christmas parties. I never invite to golf days. They never say happy birthday to me. But they know I have their best interests at heart. And that's why they hire me. But your clients don't have to love you, but they do have to like you and at least trust you. That's important.
Right.
And you don't build that trust by saying, come to my event or buy my product. You build that trust by posting consistently, by saying, how can I help you? You earn that trust by doing recommendations. If I want to work with somebody, I'll often buy a low-cost product, whether it's a book or maybe a £19 course or whatever it is. I'll always buy something very low cost to begin with, just to see, okay, what's this person like?
Right.
Because if I spend like 10 or 20 quid on something, because when you buy people's books, generally they are so grateful and appreciative.
Absolutely.
But if I buy a course that's 20 or 30 pounds and it's not a very good course, and the only follow-up you give me is, do you want to rebook to my bigger course? You've lost me. You have to, customer service is really important. You don't service your customer after the course is finished. You service them during the course. When I hire someone, okay, so when people hire me for coaching, I just say they book 4 coaching sessions. At the end of the 4th coaching session, I don't go, well, was that okay? Do you want to rebook? No. After the 1st coaching session, how was that? After the 2nd coaching session, I send them a book. They're not expecting it, but I will send them a book on something they're either learning right now, or because if they're a sports fan, I'll send them a golf book or a football book or something like just.
So not necessarily your book. It's a book that is a thoughtful book for that person.
Yeah, 100%. And it's unexpected, but it's a lovely surprise because it takes thought and it costs me money. And I've sent that to them to say, you know what, you're my client. I love working with you. Told me how much you liked golf. I actually read a lot about Jack Nicklaus, a very famous American golfer, because he's into visualization, which I am too, and law of attraction and things like that. I just thought you'd appreciate this book. I bought so many of his books. I bought a lot of books about tennis and Andre Agassi. Football friends of mine, I bought different football bios of different footballers. People love it because it's unexpected.
Yeah.
I did that at the end of the coaching and said, by the way, would you like to continue? It would be so sleazy and so horrible and so inappropriate. But you got to do these things. You got to give people shout outs on LinkedIn, which I do a lot with my clients as well. Again, you want to work with somebody, give them a shout out on LinkedIn to say, I heard this person speak today, or this person did this post today. It was terrific. Here's what I liked about it. Make sure you follow them on LinkedIn. That's a really good thing to do. But promoting your products all the time, nobody cares.
People turn it off, right? They start tuning you out. They don't engage with your posts, and then you're never in the homepage feed, and you kind of start to dip in terms of your visibility.
And that's a very good way to become paranoid, because you can spend a lot of time thinking, why aren't people liking my posts for? Which is the worst thing you can do in LinkedIn. It's a massive time drain, but we're human beings and we do it,
Yeah, we do. We get into that. And we're going to start to shift gears in just a minute here, guys. I want to start to invite our audience, Niraj, to participate in the conversation with us. So if you guys have thoughts on sales pitches, you've seen really bad sales pitches, how to overcome them, how to improve them, any questions for Niraj, feel free to ask them. And I see that our chat is starting to come in. I have one question from Jack, and there's a TV show in the US. I don't know if it shows there in Ireland. It's called Home Improvement, where you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so we're going to have to do, I call it the Wilson, when we have a really tall comment. And I wish StreamYard would condense the comments down when we get these really tall ones. But I want to show one comment that a question rather that Jack is asking. Jack Champel is asking, wouldn't you agree a product and service sales approach you should use has a lot to do with your product. For example, selling a unique item versus a product in a saturated market. What's a major difference or technique that you would use between the two? Niraj, what are your thoughts there?
It's not just selling a unique product. It is the person behind the product as well. That does make a difference too. I mean, if I look at something, if I ever bought something that was substandard, but I like the person, no. But I have bought, okay, an alarm system. So I've had to buy alarm systems 3 times, 3 different houses. I've moved 3 times in 30 years. Okay, so I bought 3 different alarm systems. Now, alarm systems are pretty much, I cannot tell a difference between one and the other. But then there's a company I'm not going to mention who got an all singing, all dancing alarm system, which looks kind of amazing. That looks really good. This is very new to the market. But the guy selling it to me was terrible. He was a terrible salesperson, and he kept trying to sell it. He kept trying to get me to pay the insurance, upselling. He was doing such a bad job. I said no. And I chose a product which wasn't as good because I liked the other person. Right. So I will still choose the person quite often more than somebody else. You know, my virtual assistant, she's great. I have no doubt there's virtual assistants. I get contacted a lot by virtual assistants wanting their services. Some of them are more experienced than my assistant. Right. Some of them maybe have more skills, but I trust my virtual. It's about trust and like. And I always work with people I trust and like rather than the number one virtual assistant in the world who I maybe don't know or who sells badly to me.
That's a good point. It's relationship building and it's trust, and it's sometimes it's like fit for you too. You know, who do you want to work with? You know, based on that, the way that they're kind of working with you through the sales process. Because the reality is, after the selling part is done, then you know they're your point of contact with that organization. Do you want to continue to work with them right at that point?
Well, I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the software space. They have a fantastic product, Brenda, really good. But entrepreneurs are often quite introvert people, or they sell just based on a product, not features and value, but product. And they can't understand why nobody wants their product. It's because they haven't done presentation skills training, and they sell based on product and not on features and value. So no matter how good your product is, you got to sell it based on features and the value of the product to the other person. That's really important. But a lot of people just focus on the features and not the benefits and value.
That's a really good point, and such a good reminder for anybody who's working in sales or trying to sell to anybody, really. And you know, to your earlier point, everybody works in sales, whether you're a job seeker who's looking for a new position, or if you're an executive who's trying to grow your company, or you are working directly in sales. And we're going to keep this conversation going. Jack, do not apologize. This is not an issue of you. This is actually a StreamYard issue. I mean, StreamYard really should say comment size is 4 centimeters or whatever it is, and squish the comments down. It's not you, Jack. I appreciate the lengthy comments. It shows that you're listening. And that's a little bonus for folks that are watching as well, right, Jack? When you see somebody on a LinkedIn Live ask a question, or you see somebody in a Clubhouse room that you maybe want to do business with, and they say, does anyone want to come up on stage? Raise your hand and come up there. So I want to encourage you guys that are listening, please feel free to add your questions, add your comments. We will pull you up on screen, absolutely. And Jackie has a comment as well. And see, Jack, it's not just you. Jackie's got a longer comment too. Jackie's saying she doesn't usually reply to sales pitches because they're more automated, no relevance to the services her company offers. And she has replied to a couple because they actually had to do with the type of services we offer. So it sounds like similar to you. She's being pitched on things that are like, well, wait, we sell those. Like, did you even read my profile? A type of an approach. So is this happening a lot more, Jack, or I'm sorry, Niraj, choose because of the fact that we are doing more online networking now because of the pandemic? Or do you think people are just getting lazy, or why is this happening more often?
There's a number of reasons. People are using automated software because they don't know how to sell. Yeah. And so a lot of people are selling automated software right now. And people, like I said earlier, people will often choose the easy option rather than the best option. Yeah. And instead of learning about sales, which takes effort, people go, automated software, that's easy. I'll take that. Now, as far as I'm aware, and I'm sure you know this as well, LinkedIn has put a lot of people in LinkedIn jail for using automated software. They don't like it. They don't appreciate it. LinkedIn jail means that for 3 or 4 days, you cannot access or use your LinkedIn account. So be very careful. I don't recommend, if anybody uses automated software, I say, please don't. You will get into trouble with LinkedIn. and LinkedIn are very open about that, not to use it. And second of all, I have replied to a few people before saying, I asked you a question last time and you've given me a completely different answer. That means you're either a terrible listener, in which case I don't want to do business with you, or it means you're using automated software. So once or twice I have asked, by the way, you didn't answer my question. Is this an automated reply?
Right, right.
I do ask that. And
They
then
don't-
quite often get a completely different reply, which has nothing to do with what I asked. I know it's automated, in which case, unfortunately, I go to the profile, I do block, because I don't want my LinkedIn inbox being taken up with bad. I just don't want it because I'm really busy. We're all busy. Have
Yeah.
a think about the person you're selling to, Brenda, and anybody listening in. They get so many messages a day on text, on LinkedIn, on email.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to take me up my inbox. So an email, I delete it. On LinkedIn, of course, you can delete it, which I do.
Yeah.
But if it happens 2 or 3 times within 2 or 3 weeks, you're getting blocked. You just
you're
are.
gonna get blocked.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just really, really quickly, I know, Niraj, you do a lot of blogging. I had actually created a blog back, this was in 2017, I think it was, and I talked about being in LinkedIn jail. I actually was thrown in jail, and it was because I had sent too many. At the time, they had a certain number of pending invitations you could have. The limit's a little bit different. I wasn't using automated service, but I created a blog about this. And I've actually had people reach out to me. I had a gentleman over the weekend just reach out to me and said, I'm in jail and I don't know what I did wrong. And we went through a process, and I said, are you sending automated invitations? And he said, no. And I said, are you sending hundreds of them? How many you're sending in a week? And he explained, and it wasn't too many. And then I said, well, what are you sending them? And I said, could you send me a couple samples? And they were very cut and paste, very standardized looking. And I said, well, probably people are seeing these messages and they're saying, I don't know this person. And you got too many, I don't know this persons. And that flags your account. And then you get in LinkedIn jail. So it sounds like, a lot of the approaches you're teaching people is they're really focused on getting to know the person as an individual, incorporating that personalized response, and even not just in that invitation, but you're taking the effort, Niraj, to go into their activity feed, to interact on their timeline, to comment on their posts, to buy their books. You're doing so many of these steps that it sounds like the average person is not doing. Are these things that you cover as a part of your sales training with your clients?
100%. Yeah. One of the first things I'll say is sales is not about you.
Yeah.
It's about helping your customers win. And second thing is relationships first, selling second. You don't be best pals with your customers. Don't worry about being best friends, but they have to know you care, you understand their product, and you want the best for them, not the best for yourself. You don't want to reap booking out of this. You don't want to try and make as much money off them as possible.
Right.
It's about you getting your clients results. And everything I do now, and I look 3 years ago, I just wanted to be a big sales trainer, have my own office in London. That was kind of a big ambition for me. And then I realized, you know what? I'm doing this all wrong. Okay, stopping everything to everybody. Stop trying to grow too fast. Just do your job properly, first of all. So I kind of reworked my business. It's gone through a few little tweaks over the last few years, but ultimately, I probably get more happiness now from my job than ever. Because it doesn't matter. I don't care if I have 20 or 30 clients. It doesn't mean anything. What I care about is the quality of my clients. I don't care that I have 9,000 followers. I care about the 5% of followers who actually engage in my posts, because it's true. Right. I have like 5% who will engage regularly, who will message me, who will ask me for advice, who will say thank you. They're the ones I love because they're the ones who make the effort. The other 8,500 have no idea why they're even there. They're just never on LinkedIn. But focus on the quality. Don't just focus on what a lot of people do, which is contacting as many people as possible. That's not a very good strategy.
Right. That is not a strategy. It's just, it's not a popularity contest. It's really, if you're using LinkedIn, it's about developing those relationships and that reputation for yourself, and that almost like a steady lead referral system, because of the personality that you've created for yourself, the value that you're offering your clients. And as we start to, this hour is going so quickly here today, but we're starting to get to the end of our talk here today, Niraj, and I want to pull up your LinkedIn URL as well as share your profile up on screen for folks that are watching here today. Just so if you guys want, I would highly encourage you to go onto Niraj's profile on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop it in the comments for you guys as well right now. Are you open to accepting new invitations on LinkedIn, Niraj, or are you follow only? What's your philosophy on that, and any advice for people that are looking to connect with you?
When I get to 20,000 followers, I'll probably do follow only. At the moment, I'm on 9,200, I think. So
Okay.
I'm open to connections. If you send me a personalized invite, I'm always more likely to reply to you faster because I love personalized invites. It shows you've taken the effort. And, by all means, have a look at when you go to my profile, you've got the About section, featured, and activity. Please, by all means, go to activity, look at my posts, look at the ones that are doing really well, look at the ones people are engaging with, see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's a mixture of video, it's a mixture of documents, it's a mixture of text-only posts. I'm entering the conversation in my client's mind. That's what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really key when it comes to posting.
That's great. And you also have a company page on LinkedIn, Everybody Works in Sales. Actually, I'm going to share your web page. Would you rather me share your company page on LinkedIn or your web page? Which would be better to share on screen right now?
Probably my web page, because my web page, you can get 10 sales tips for 2021.
Okay,
and that will benefit a lot of people. That's everybodyworksinsales.com.
I love how it is so easy. It's not like anything complex, and it's memorable, in terms of the web address. I'm going to put this up on screen right now. Let's see, everybodyworksinsales.com. I'm going to increase the point size just to make it a little larger. So you said you have a checklist that people can download from here?
Yeah, it's very simply, it's like you get like an 8-page PDF saying 10 tips or 10 ways to get results in 2021.
Where's
and it'll
that at?
come up. Usually it comes up, it pops up automatically after about 10 seconds or when you try and leave, and you can just very simply download that. And if you want that information, just drop me a message on LinkedIn. If it doesn't come up, I'll be happy to send it to you. But it's just, again, it's giving value first. It's not me saying, click here for coaching. It's like, here's some value up front. I always try to give value up front in everything I do so people can at least see a bit about me. Because when you work with somebody, you want to know the person's tone. You want to know what are they like under pressure. Because being nice, it's easy when times are good, but when times are tough, what do you like as a person as well? You got to get to know people a bit sometimes, I think, before you invest in them. And you and I both know, Brenda, a lot of people on LinkedIn are lurkers. They'll spend months looking at your profile, 3 or 4 months sometimes, without even liking a post before they contact you.
Yeah, it's crazy. And lurking sounds a little, I like to say they're readers, they're reading, they're absorbing information. Sometimes they're just following. And I have the follow button as my default. But if they wanted to connect with me, they could. They just need to go under the more button and then choose personalized invite, mention the show, that type of thing. But I even get people that I follow me and I look up to see who those followers are. And if I feel they may be a good fit, then I'll reach out to them. But yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there. It's kind of like people are getting more aggressive on these automated LinkedIn services. And, there's all of a sudden overnight, there's a million LinkedIn experts out there that can help you. But to Niraj's point, look at his profile. You can see his activity. Look at his interaction with his followers. Look at his recommendations. What are people saying about him? I mean, these are really important things to do as you're starting to shop around. And as we start to wind down the conversation here, Niraj, I'm going to invite our audience, after the video is done, go back on the video and then click on the share button and share it along. Share it with your network. Tell people something that you learned from Niraj here today that you felt was particularly helpful. It could be even a message about if you're using really bad sales pitches, stop, because it annoys all of us, right? You can do a public service like that, but share the video along. And Niraj, any final comments that you want to offer the group or anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
It's really important if you want to be good at anything in life. Just work at it. Go to YouTube, type in Everybody Works in Sales. There's about 60 videos there. They're all about 90 seconds to 2 minutes each. It's free. It's free. I don't even need your email address. Just go there, learn, spend 5 minutes a day learning from there, and you'll pick up so much. And always remember, when you're selling, it's about the other person first, always. And you'll achieve so much more when you come from a place of service rather than a place of what's in it for me.
Absolutely. Well, awesome advice, Niraj. And where's the best place for people to learn more about you? Is it LinkedIn? Go to your website. What do you prefer?
No matter how many times I say to people, go to everybodyworksinsales.com, they always go to my YouTube. Oh, they always go to my LinkedIn. Always. LinkedIn. I say, check out my YouTube channel. You'll learn so much. They go to LinkedIn. Send me an email. They go to LinkedIn. In LinkedIn, people just feel very safe. They feel, which is understandable. But I've given my email, I've given my phone number out sometimes in podcasts or episodes, and still they contact me on LinkedIn. So they go
to LinkedIn, right? It's just, I think it's kind of like that's the go-to. They know it's like a professional directory. They know that you are monitoring for activity there, and it's kind of like, I don't want to pick up the phone. I want to schedule a call, or maybe I want to learn about you first before picking up the phone and scheduling that phone call even. So Good point of information. Well, I really enjoyed the conversation here today, Niraj, and I know we're going to probably get to see each other on Clubhouse this week. Do you have any Clubhouse events that are coming up, or do you just are you more of a participant joining the conversation? What's your Clubhouse kind of strategy?
I have a couple. So I spend usually 3 lunchtimes a week. So lunchtimes, I guess, is going to be 1 o'clock UK time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn International, where I see you some mornings very early popping in. Because again, I go there so I can share advice, but also there's some really smart people there I learn from too. And that's why I like it. And then the evening, it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, and 6 p.m. UK time until the clocks change next weekend. It's then 7 p.m. UK time. That's LinkedIn Club. So LinkedIn Club, I'm a moderator on every night, and every Tuesday I do LinkedIn profile reviews, which I love doing. And those are the 2 platforms I'm on almost every day. And you're welcome to come join me. And just they're good people. Again, I chose those rooms because they're nice people. Yeah. And I'm always driven towards good people. They may not be the number 1 in the world, but they're just really good people. And that's what I'm always gravitating towards.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I look forward. I know I'll pop onto Clubhouse and I'll see you, and I also will continue to see you on LinkedIn. Niraj, I just want to say thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, getting to know more about you. I'm going to go on your Amazon and buy your book. I'm very interested.
Well, thank you.
And I think I've already followed your YouTube channel, but I'll start to poke around and listen to more of those videos as well. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
No, you too. All the best, Brenda. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for watching again. If you could please go on LinkedIn after we're done with the session here today, click to share this video with your network and maybe share with people something that you learned, and you can help to spread the word around. This again has been Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on LinkedIn, and have a wonderful week, everyone. Take care.